Hi everyone, welcome to today's Smart Builders Week webinar on PlansXpress. My name is Thomas Brooks and I shall be taking you through the software, showing how you can bring in an existing set of plans, how easy it is to do a takeoff, and what you can do with that afterwards. Now, when it comes to taking off a set of plans, traditionally you'd have to make sure you've got plenty of space, you've got say A3 or even A1 plans, have to have your rulers set out, things to mark down what you're doing there. So it's all very time consuming and space consuming. And it can be tedious, it can be arduous, and the idea with the software is that it can bring it down into one space, one location, such as your laptop or home computer, that you can then work with, saving all that, say, space that could be your dining room table, or it could be dedicated space in an office. This just makes it a little bit lighter for you. Now, common mistakes with the traditional paper takeoff method could be issues in scaling. If these paper plans have been printed off from a PDF, then there could be scaling issues in there. It's not unheard of, as PDFs aren't actually an image file. So you may have your X scale correct, but your Y scale may be incorrect, thus bringing errors into the plans. Say there might be usage of non-standard symbols, incorrect placement of utilities, fixtures, fittings and such. And also, depending on who's done the plans, they could be hand-drawn, there could be ineligible text and dimensions. So it might be a case of having to manually measure things anyway, and you might want to make sure you've got a set of plans that you can produce that has these measurements on there for your workers to use. Now, there is a way to have everything, like say, on a computer. We've already got your estimates available to produce on a computer. You could be using older methods and inputting them directly onto the computer itself. But at the end of the day, one of the major weak links along the line is your actual plans themselves. Now, many people have started getting plans from architects exclusively in PDF format, though you can request DWGs, and there are some councils out there that only accept electronic formats. So being able to measure off those plans within software is the future of things. It's not something we can really need to imagine anymore. It is something that's happening. With this as well, you can ensure that your estimating is accurate. And also as well, as you're producing, say, your plans, you have got something that you can work with. So if you've ever had to make amendments to those existing plans either yourself, or if you had to actually pay out for an architect to make those amendments for you, such as moving and opening or relocation of existing services. Now with the software, we can help you create accurate estimates from those existing plans without having to measure off. We can save massive time with that as well, as you're not having to manually mark things off with the ruler, transfer it to paper or input into computer. It's already done for you. That's saving you money, because time is money. And also as well, if you are having to use an external service, like an architect, to give you the measurements themselves, they may actually charge you for the estimates they produce for you, whereas you could be producing it yourself. And at the end of the day, if you are happy using the software to produce your own plans, then you can do. The software is fully capable of producing plans that are accepted for building regulations and planning. There is all the tools in there that you will need. And we can help you expand your business as such. If you want to start producing your plans, you know what they're supposed to look like, so we can work with that. Now, if you've already got plans existing, so you've gone to a customer and said, well, I want to build this. Now, if there's a method of bringing those plans into software, either scanning them in, or if you've had PDF, or JPEG, or along those lines there, you can scan them in and use the tracing tools to quickly go over the top and produce a cost breakdown very, very quickly without having to do the measuring off. And from that, there you can also produce your quotation using the PlansXpress software. And if you've drawn a set of plans, you've either yourself or you've gone over in greater detail an existing set of plans, then you can actually show amendments on that as well and use that for submission instead. This also gives you an opportunity to sit down with a customer and say, well, we could have this window here, or we could move the window over here and relocate the bath for better space usage. Now, by taking off the existing plans, you can see that you have gone over everything. You can make sure all your measurements are accurate. Now, you can see the wall thicknesses on there as you go over them, and you can see what you're doing is relevant to what the plan is itself. Now, you know exactly what you're estimating is relevant. And if there are mistakes made by the architect on the drawing, which is not unheard of, I've encountered many in my time as a builder, then you've got a logic check there. So you can catch those architectural mistakes before you've had to start building. You could be estimating on one set of plans, and then you've gone to build them, and they don't quite match up. But using PlansXpress, you're drawing it yourself, you're checking all around the set of plans, and you might find that certain angles, certain lines don't fit. And the software will highlight that for you as you can see it as you're drawing. And that whole process of tracing over the plan itself highlights to you what might be wrong, and also gives you a clear idea of what you're going to be building as well, so you can see what you may encounter, let you estimate as well for different tools or different plan. You might find that, say, well, this plan may not be suitable for a full JCB. I might have to use a mini digger. I might have to dig out by hand. So, and as you're going with it, you've visualized what you've estimated, and you can see what you've missed, you can see what you've drawn, so you can obviously see if you haven't done the roof, because there will be no roof on the plan. You can look at your 3D and it'll be roofless. And once you've imported that to HBXL, you get your detailed breakdown of all the costs and such. Now, using this method with PlansXpress and then transferring to HBXL can save you an inordinate amount of time. Now, because you are combining several different jobs that you're doing at one point or another into one process. Now, you've got your takeoff section that normally gathering your measurements up. Then you've got your dimensional calculations being produced in HBXL, so you can know what square meterage are being used, labour times, and also then that's referencing that to your material ordering as well, so you know what costs are going to be for certain materials, because you'll have that as a resource within HBXL. So just by doing one task in PlansXpress and combining it with other packages, you can save all that time. You only actually have to do the job once instead of double handing all the time. And then, of course, if you are working within software, you can find that you don't actually have to print the plans off constantly. You'll have plans sent to you, print them off yourself for your own cost before you can measure off of them, because you've already got them on the computer and you've got a software package that can measure it for you. You can say, and once again, to reiterate, you don't have to outsource amendments to third parties, and combining the takeoff and estimate to one process can save you time and money. And now I'm going to jump into the estimate itself, we'll say the drawing, and I shall show you how this all comes together. Now, what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to bring up my PlansXpress software. I'm going to maximize that there. Now, I've already opened up a page. That's an A3 drawing. Plain page, scale 1:50. I can see that down at the bottom here of my drawing, the scale and size of this. Now, I'm going to bring in a little sample extension on a JPEG. So I'm going to go to Drawing Annotation, and I'm going to go to Image, go to my desktop, search for JPEGs, and there we go, a plan already. Now, I'm going to specify the scale of this as 1:50, because it's a 1:50 drawing. Click OK, and place that on my drawing as such. So I've got that there now. I've got all the details on this drawing I can work with. Now, before I just go jumping straight into estimating, I'm going to quickly bring in some other parts of this as well, because I've got the front elevation I can use. And I'm going to go grab the side elevation as well. As not all plans come in on one page, you might be spread across multiple pages, and you can bring them in and work with them on the software as such. Handy thing is now I've got all the details from all the different aspects. As such, this one includes foundations I can read off there. It also gives me things I can measure, like angles as well for the roof pitches. Now I've got my drawing in here, I can start tracing over the top to gain costs. Now before I do that fully, I'm just going to quickly grab a wall and show you how this looks normally. Once I've selected a wall, it'll give me options to change the dimension to the wall height, each leaf independent thickness there, foundation details, if it's plank, struts to support that, also the footing details, cavity details, and if it's going to be plastered and decorated. Now I'm going to quickly just start on here and show you. I'm going to change that to right, so I'm following this wall. Just draw a couple of lines so you can see how that looks on here now. As you can see, very easy to trace over the top, but in this format, a little bit harder to spot things. Now if you're drawing from scratch, that's fine. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to delete these walls, and I'm going to show you how we can make that nice and highly visible. So I'm going to go to Views in 3D, go to my pens, and just select Scan Mode. Click OK. Now everything I do will be highlighted nice and brightly. To make sure my original wall matches up nicely, I'm going to grab a horizontal construction line and just place that there. So when I drop those walls in, they'll be accurate. Now I'm going to go to my external walls here and start drawing. If I want to know the height of them, I can come along to these measurements up here. I can do a bit of measurements on the internal side of the wall. And using just dimensional tools, I can actually do a bit of a takeoff to the top of that wall plate there. 2115. There we go. So all I need to do now is come along here, grab external wall. I'm going to use brick and block cavity wall for this. Now I can select from a multiple selection here of different wall types. They're all just templated for you if they're single story, multi-story, additional floors, or even zero height. The idea behind these is that if you select a multi-story, it'll add in the thickness of the joists for you, so you don't have to account for them. Of course, whichever one you select, you couldn't edit yourself regardless. So I can say ground floor cavity wall. Even though that says 2.4, I'm going to change that to 115 as such, so it's accurate to what I'm representing. I can as well, also on here, show tech tips and tech labels. So it can highlight what I'm filling in. And if I click in a box, it will tell me exactly as what I'm filling in. I'm going to leave my foundation details as this. Of course, I can always refer to the plan as to what the dimensions may actually be. If I do make a mistake on this, then I can always go back and amend that as well, just by clicking on the wall. Now I'm going to leave these as default for the moment, but as you can see, I can change everything from the splash course depth, brickwork depth below splash course, height of blockwork to outer leaf below DPC. If I've got trench blocks in there currently, if I don't use trench blocks, I can just zero that out. Everything within that is under your control. And if the blockwork's plastered. Now, before I do the main section of drawing, I'm just going to draw this wall along here. That is the existing. I'm going to highlight that, set that as non-estimated. So I've got something I can work up to. Now I can right click to bring the drawing tool back up again, and then just start placing my walls over the top. If you have measurements on here already, then you can use them. But if you just want to freehand, then you can do so. It's very, very easy. If you want to make sure it's nice and tidy and neat, if you hold Shift as you're drawing, you get nice straight lines. And I can say, snap that into there. Refresh to tidy, and that join that in for me. Now, that there actually continues on, so I'm just going to move that wall as such. So it's very easy to make amendments to things you're drawing as you go along if you do make a mistake. There we go. Now of course, that's joining that wall in there. I can minimize click on that, highlight and click don't tee in. So it's not going to tee into the existing building as such. There we go. I've got my walls. I can drop some floor in there now. I've got a little bit of, looks like stud work in there. Have a look. There we go, timber studding. So I can go to my architectural, it's internal wall for stud work. There's my stud work option. Pick a stud wall, change that dimension there to the 115, width of the wall. Now, as a point, anything with a yellow background is shown on the drawing, so you can see that there. Anything for estimating value is purely in the white backgrounds. So I can plaster side 1, plaster side 2. If there's only one side needed plastering, say it could be just a partition wall between a lived-in space and non-lived-in space, then I can just say no to these. Might just be a case of saying no to the skirting. Click finish. Start drawing there. Now, the line I'm using there is on the wrong side, so I'm just going to change my justification to left. Drop that in, done. Don't need floor joists underneath that because it's just a ground floor. Now, I've done this. I can actually take a quick look at my 3D preview just to see how this is going along. And once again, it's that little bit of a logic check as well, so I can see if I've missed any items. Now, I know that's my walls there. That's all done and dusted. Very useful for when you're checking to see if you've remembered to do all the windows. Now, looking on here, I can see that there's a new steel to go in this wall here. So I can drop a steel in there in a moment and a new door. Remove existing window, put a new door in as that plan shows. Window there and a bifold door here. And of course there's going to be a slab going in as well. I can have a little reference to one of my other drawings, see what the slab is going to be. So there we go, it's going to be a slab with a screed on top. Yeah. And as you can see on these foundations here as well, that it doesn't need trench blocks, it's going to be blocks all the way down. I'm going to leave the trench blocks in there for the moment, but if I did need to go back and edit that, all I need to do is I can double click on the wall and make adjustments, then hit accept defaults. That option also exists on the middle mouse click there to just click modify. Now I'm going to do my slab, let's go to architectural. Now everything in the architectural tab is what you can estimate with, so you've got all the various types of tools here. And say flooring, and then if there anything that's under your feet. So suspended floors, cassette flooring, beam and block, slabs, basement floors, rafts, screeding, tiling, commercial carpeting. In this case, I'm going to go for a floor slab, go for an extension slab, unreinforced. Now, thickness of sand blinding, and also the sub base. Leave these as default for the moment, and also thickness of the slab itself. And if there's DPM, now that DPM could be radon barrier or just a standard damp-proof membrane, overlap on the walls there also, and if there's an insulation to the underside of the slab. I've said no to reinforcements, so they already said no to that. If there's a power flow, I'm going to say no, because it's going to be screeded over the top. And then I can put in a number of hours. If I just want to do the excavation for this, I can just pop the amount of hours I want to use a digger for. I can also say the number of days for a plate compactor. So I'm going to say I'm going to have a day for a plate compactor, day for a wheelbarrow, day for the shovel, because there are tool usage involved. You know, these things do cost you. Now we can put in a concrete vibrator as well, no power flow, and say 2 days for collection to plant and delivery. Just to show cost for interruptions to your time. Click finish. Corner to corner and place. Not going to do the perimeter installation at this point because I'm going to right click to bring the tool back up, go through. It's already remembered my last options there, but I'm going to say no, zero these out because I've accounted for that on the previous one. Corner, corner, and then across. Now, I'm going to say yes to the perimeter installation on this point now, so 25 centimeters, click finish there, and all I need to do is just click around in the general shape I want the perimeter installation to go. Very quick, very easy, just to measure it out. I need to go to that corner now, so I'm going to press C to close that off. That's done, don't need any more. Leave that there now. Now there is an option there to go, I can site strip that down to the level that I need. I can just go to the external works, I can do site strip or site clearance on top, so I'm going to use a bit of site strip for this one now. I'm going to say I'm going to dig down 30 centimeters across an entire area. Number of dumpers 0, blocking factor, number of days of banksman 2, plant is considered elsewhere. Click finish, and then I can just draw around roughly the site I want cleared down to a level. Now I can go back in here now. I can go to that flooring. I can go to the screeding, floor screed, area of floor screed, thickness of the screed, insulated, if it's going to be a ready mix or if it's going to be reinforced with mesh, and then I can put in time for wheelbarrow and pump and screed mixer. Click finish, and once again just a corner to corner. Just work around as such, press C to close. I'm not going to put perimeter insulation around that for now. So as you can see, very quickly I'm building up from the wall, well technically I'm working from the foundations upwards, but the wall's already done with the foundations. The estimate, the plan itself, I can hide this as well if I wanted to, the original drawing, and just be left with my original plan, which is very useful if you want to start adding dimensions for something to print off to your ground workers. Now from here I'm going to start adding in some steels. So I don't have a measurement on this steel here, so what I can do is I can either use linear dimension and measure across, or even have just a measurement tool that just asks for point to point. That just gives me a measurement info there. I like to use linear dimension as it leaves the dimension on the page for me to reference constantly. So within tolerances, I can say that's 4.5 meters. You could be as accurate as you like. There we go. Just by moving the lines to make sure everything is what you're happy with. So we can see within tolerances that's 4.5 meters. So I'm going to go to my architectural, steel openings, structural opening to existing wall. We've got a large opening there. We change that there to 4.5. Presume the height of that is 2.1. There's pad stones required, yes. Number of bricks required each end, 6. Number of stakes required for packing, 4. So all the little elements that may be involved in doing an opening like this are all considered within this. Balking factor for spoil, so the skip space is calculated accurately. Thickness of the original wall, so those for the plastering on the inside edges. Spacing of the noggins, once again I can hit tech tips and tech labels to identify these for me. Length of noggins to the steels, reveals plastered. Side, number of sides requiring angle beads, so both sides, the reveals painted. There we go, and all I need to do then is just place in as such. Moving on, I can then start dropping in little doorways. Now I can see that there's a little doorway just there for store, so I'm going to go back to my studding and place a little bit of studding in there to allow me to place a door in there. I can see there's a new doorway in here that I'm going to go grab a dimension from. It's going to be an internal door. Now, On the internal doors, you do get options between panel doors and fire doors. Let's use a panel door into this one. As you can see now, height of the door, width of the door, blocking factor for spoil if it's going into an existing wall. Reveal depth, so it's going to be level. Reveals plastered and decorated. Threshold board, yes. If there's anything going to be painted on this door, options exist there. Click, and then place. I'm happy with that. I can move along. I've got this little internal door here. I can measure that quickly so I can see what size door I need. So 831, back to my architecture. I'll go to doors. That'd be internal door. Change 830. As you can see, when you're working with doors and even the windows as well, all the options are very similar to each other. So no matter what you do, you're going to be familiar with the tools you're using. So that hurdle of initially learning the software, once you've done a couple of the workbooks, or say use a couple of the tools, you'll be familiar as to how they work. You could be happy to move on from them and try all different ones, and you'll be happy for when you get other types of work come in that use different building methods, you will be confident to tackle them as well. Wheels plastered, yes. Click finish. I'm happy with the painting. Just place that in there, like so. I can see what external windows there are. So once again, I can measure these. So custom size window there. See what I have in PVC standard. I've got 600 wide. Now I can change the dimensions of one of these, so I can go to custom size window. And create one in here. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a standard window for the moment. And I'm going to quickly measure how deep these windows are as well. So I can come up here. I'm going to see if that window. Grab a linear dimension. Measure that from there. I've even got this one I can work with as well. So the opening of this window here, look on this one, is 1050. Windows, PVC standard windows, 1050 deep. Pick the meter one because it'll give me the lintel appropriate for that. I can always reduce the size of the lintel within the software, HBXL, afterwards. Height of the window, height from the floor, blocking factor for spoil if it's an existing wall. In this case it's not, so we'll not calculate that. Reveal depth, so 15 centimeters back from the front of the wall. That's the inside edge of the wall. Sorry. And then plastering and sill details, painting details. Now because it's PVC you are selected, it's already said no to many of the actual painting of the window itself. And I just need to place. I can come see what this window is over here. Drawing orientation, linear dimension again. Quickly measure that one there. Looks like a slightly larger window. So if I went to architecture and windows there, I can see may not fit, may just fit in there. But if I've got a window and it's not quite right, I can double click on it and just change that appropriately. There we go. Done and sorted. Now I've got a new set of bifold doors going in the front here, so I can go linear dimension, measure the size that's going in this. If I need to be a little bit more accurate, I can line that, grab that line again. I'll move these until I'm happy with my measurement. 3.6 wide. So measuring from the front edge there. So just moving those lines around. There we go. Yeah, that corresponds with that there. I was happy with that. Go to my architectural. Go to my doors. Bifold doors. Hardwood. 3.6. There's a 5 panel I can use there. So I shall select that one. These measurements are already done for me. So just the reveal details as well. So I don't need to change these. Just place, orientation of the doors, and I'm done. Right click to drop the tool. And what I'm going to do now is look at my views in 3D, look at the 3D preview, to do my bit of error checking, make sure I've done everything. Okay, so those windows go right to the top there, for the height of this wall. You can see as well that wall only just about accommodates these bifold doors. Their standard size. So already I can see that there might be an issue with these windows, especially if the roof overhangs them ever so slightly. These walls may need to be a little bit higher. You see that the bottom edge of that roof there does come along, in fact, to the very top edge of those windows, so it should all be fine. If not, I can revise. There we go, yeah. It is a tight fit, but that's how it works. Once I've done that and I'm happy with what I've done there, I can then move on to another section, so I can drop the roof on now. Now, I don't actually have any measurements for the roof on here. None have been provided, but what I can do is I can just use what's available to me here to actually measure those angles using tools in the software. So I'm going to go to Drawing Annotation. I'm just going to grab a horizontal construction line because they're always horizontal. Then I can grab an angular and just click 2 points along that line there. And then I can use an angular dimension to see what that roof pitch may be. So the main one there, 22.5. And that other one there looks like it should follow, a little low one there. I can have a little look at the specs, see what the concrete roof tiles, okie dokie, so we can see what we've got on there. Come back down to this, the section we're working on, go to my roofs, I'm going to select cut roof. Now there are templates there, but I'm going to change this to 22 degrees, or 22.5, 22.5. Fix the roof if needed to change, and also of course if there is a barn style hip I can select the offset at this point as well. Now I can select the soffit width to the gables, also the soffit overhang. I haven't measured that. If I say if I want to be super accurate I can go measure that now, but for the time being I'm going to leave that as is. I can even go into the details there of timber and roof strap details if I so wish. The things like say if there's going to be ventilators, tilting fillets support, and also the length of gable noggins, spacing of the brackets, gable straps. Click return, click next, confirm my rafter centers, joist centers, length of hip, each corner tie, are there barge boards to gables, height of the barge boards. I can even go to the depth there of gutter fixing centers. I'm going to change that to 1. On the next page, I can see if there's going to be a ton and a half required. I'm going to zero these out. We could just set them as not required an estimator. And I can see if there's roof covenant sarking board. Now, nothing specified as far as I can see, but if you did say yes, it would apply a layer of ply. Spacing tile leaf, so I'm going to change that to 0.3. to allow for the concrete interlocking. And tiling details here is basically if it's going to be standard cement or dry fix. So we're doing our estimating, say, just quite quickly as we're going through just setting this roof out. Because it's already presuming plastics on the barge boards and fascias, it's going to say no. If you was to use timber, then you can say yes. Click finish. Then we select the roof style that we want, so we're going to go lean to roof, click OK. And I'm going to say that height wall there is the height of the wall plate. So it just wants to know that there. It'll actually show you down in the command window down here. So the first click, the second click is always the gable end. So it knows the depth of the roof, and then just the length of the third click. I'm not going to say flat ceiling or pull-ins at the moment because I've still got a little section of roof to do. But I can look at the views in 3D preview, and see what's gone on here with that one. So I can see a little roof on there now. Matches up lovely with that. Come along, bring that tool back up. First two clicks, depth and width. I'm going to adjust those lines in a moment, but I'm going to say yes to flat ceiling, vaulted ceiling as such. Area flat ceiling, no. Vaulted ceiling, yes. Rafter center, spacing and noggins, that's fine. Click finish. Select the roof that I want to do this to. So click that use line there. Place that round as such. See to close that off. Say yes to vaulted ceiling again. Confirm my settings. And do this internal section here. No more vaulted ceilings. Not going to put purlings in. Going to leave the binders out for the moment. If I say yes to rainwater pipes, number of gutter ends, downpipe fixing centres, number of rainwater pipes, supply length for downpipe. And all I need to do then is place. So it looks like could be an allowance there to place that on that corner. If I want to say yes to another one, I can do that. Over here, we'll leave that as the moment. Oh, there we go, external rainwater pipe. So it's slightly different symbols, but you can still deal with that because it's all marked out. No more, and that's done there. I'm going to move these roof lines as well to make sure they all nicely line up. Use construction line. To move as such. There we go. Using 3D. Lovely. Right. Moving on. I've got some Velux windows. I can place in there now. Go back to my architectural. Go to attic. Select roof windows. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come along to this here. I'm just going to measure that's to the floor. 325. Okay. So I got that there. You'll see the importance of that. Once I go to the roof windows, select roof window type. Let's look a little bit wider, so I'm going to select a different window. If not, you can always just change dimensions on here to represent. Then I'm going to say, on this one here, the reason I took that measurement just now is the height at the bottom of that window there. I'm going to say that's 3. 25 centimeters difference. And then this one here is floor structure relative to the top of wall plate. So I know that wall is 2.1. Click next, reveals plastered and such. Let's point with the window. And all I need to do now is select the roof that this is sitting in. And then select window position. Drop my tool. Place that a bit higher there. So I'll go back to there. It should be, I see my mistake, minus 2.1. The floor is 2.1 meters below the wall plate. There we go, I'll place that there. So, wrong size window, a little bit too high. Go back to there, with windows, select that one again. Somewhere between that. There you go. I could have selected more appropriate size windows, but those will do for now. Goes to views in 3D preview. I can see what I've placed and done so far. So I can have a check on this as I've gone along. I can see what I've done, including doors on the internal side and the stills. Once I'm done with this, I can go to save as, save as a desktop. I'm done there. All I need to do now is go to PlansXpress and do an import on that to see the final output. Click New Estimate. Click on the little image button there to find my drawing. Give that a moment. There we go. Desktop. Drawing 1. Click Open. That looks like the one I've been using. Click Next. Master Price Books. That's where your price is stored. Select my specification. I'm just going to go for an extension specification. Actually, I'm going to go back and select my Vedlan Double Roman extension, custom specification that I've created myself. Group of workbooks, it knows what workbooks it needs to estimate this because you've already used them while drawing. Chart type. If you want to produce a planning chart for the project, I'm going to say small extension. Next again, customer details. Profit margins. These can always be go back to revisit them as well. Click Next. Markups, if you're going to be using inflation, so producing an estimate for a job further down the line, you can also produce multiple estimates as well, so the sooner they do it, the cheaper it'll be. And then just run that import quickly. Now it does say don't use your computer while using this, but I'm going to go back to PlansXpress in the meantime and show you how you can be left with your own example sections of the drawing. Set my pen back to default. Have them here as well. You can hide these sections here, and also then produce a takeoff drawing for your builders to use. So if I go around here, just move some of those here, I can actually middle mouse click on that wall and go dimension, pull that out and produce as such. So very useful if you want to take a quick set of plans, estimate them, and also producing as well at the same time something you can print off or even send as a PDF to the say groundworker's phone, bricklayer's phone, roofer's phone, so they can see what the dimensions that they're working with, what they've got to dig to, trench depths. You can send that information to them from here without having to send them the rest of the plans. And especially in the case of this, where they're originally on the original set of plans, there's very few measurements as such to work with. You can add them in yourself. Now that's actually producing those costs for me there, so it's going through. If there's anything it needs to specify, it'll ask me. I do know that I need to go into the windows and change those windows to be a more appropriate size. I can always go into the steel opening workbooks. If there's an engineer's calculation to say that I need to use a specific steel, I can go in there and set that steel. But at the end of the day, I can still just go to the reports and produce my material quantities. And as you can see very quickly from this, running through, there we go, panel door's done. You can see the roof windows may require specification. So once it's finished, it will actually be a pop-up at the end saying these workbooks require specification. There we go. Click OK. Swap over to my reports. I can actually look at quotation inquiry on materials used, aggregates, blocks, bricks, all in quantities, and all that there is now done. Okay, so as you can see, that is PlansXpress, the ability to quickly take off a set of plans from an existing drawing. You can bring in PDFs. I've used the JPEG in this case. If you do have any other plans sent to you, even in a CAD file, they can be brought in also to trace over the top of. In the last, say, 47 minutes and counting, I've been able to trace over the top of this extension, produce my takeoff, and give myself something else to work off as well. I can see if there's any architectural mistakes that has been made. I can see that they actually should be all fine, as I know my windows will match up to the bottom of these roof lines as the original architectural drawings matched, just by looking at my 3D preview and being able to see it in action. Okay. Proof is in the pudding, they say. So if anyone has any questions, you're more than welcome to ask now, or say you've got 10 minutes left of the demonstration. If not, you're more than welcome to give our sales team a call, and they shall provide you with any information that you request.